Okay, so what's going on, everybody? So here's another vlog for today, and I had trouble earlier trying to get this phone to record and work. It's getting pretty old, but because I switched it to SD, it won't record that way. And I'm afraid that if I switch it back over after recording, that it still won't work, so I'm not going to do it. I do believe my SD card is no good, because I've done all the little tips and tricks and things that I know and ask people, how do I just erase stuff off the SD and it won't erase? It's no good anymore, and there's been a lot of stuff just going through it. So the music that's on there, it was a test run, all it really was, but the music's still on there, so I'm going to have to make a phone music folder to back this phone on, because it's in a certain order. I just got used to it. That's why I can find everything quick. So, there's that. However, I do want to talk about the Ed and Eddie reboot. The Ed and Eddie reboot. I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled on it, or will I ever be thrilled? Cartoon Network, they've been rebooting a lot of these shows, calling them new. One, I'll say the closest thing, we ever really got close to being a cutesy cartoon reboot, which I'm glad it never went down that path of being cutesy, was Gundam SD. But, Cartoon Network, they've been rebooting shit, and they've been dumbing it down for today's kids, making it more family-friendly oriented. But there's a reason why the cartoons then, there's a reason why they worked. There's a reason why they went into adult subjects, went into darker tones, because we were much older audience, and we were at a good, steady pace of growing up. We really were. Today's young people, they're not, so everything has to be dumbed down for them. They can't handle certain things. They really can't. Not even the kids that got out of high school yesterday, that graduated, they cannot. They may talk that grown shit. Like, oh, nigga, I'm grown. No, boo-boo. You ain't grown because you can't handle certain things. A lot of you want to walk grown, talk grown, get fucked grown, but once shit happens grown, you can't handle grown. There's a reason why today's stuff is now dumbed down for you, because you can't handle certain shit. You really cannot. You're too oversensitive bunch of pussies. Okay, I'm calling it for what it is, a bunch of pussies. Okay? So go over there and sit on the pussy nigga table, because that's what you guys are, a bunch of sensitive pussies. Now, out to the subject at hand. First reboot was Scooby-Doo. Didn't care for it. I didn't like the way it looked. Second reboot, from what I know, was Transformers. Didn't care for that. Batman, they fucked him up. Justice League, what the fuck were you doing? Thundercats, I didn't know about. Why the hell, you guys ruined Thundercats and made them into Pussycats. Real talk. And now, then it was Teen Titans. Really? You made Teen Titans gay as fuck? I'm calling it for what it is. You made them a bunch of faggots. Yes, you did. And now, Ed and Eddie, to where you made them pre-K niggas. Pre-K! All these reboots, yeah, all the characters look cutesy, cute, whatever, but when we watched it, we weren't in it for cute. We were in it for the fuck shit. What it is. We were in it for the fuck shit. But you guys need to know the history of Cartoon Network, of why these cartoons worked the way they worked before. There were no cartoons, Cartoon Network, back in the 70s and 80s. I'm older than Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network was pitched in 91. Didn't take off and start showing till 92, and didn't start really taking off the ground till 95. You know, it's like that old saying, everything that glitters ain't gold. The cartoons in the 70s and the 80s, you know, you had the Tom and Jerry's, the Smurfs, things of that nature. But a lot of the Asian Chinese cartoons did come over here to Western, but they didn't. But during that time in America, they didn't care for it. But they only showed it on the Saturdays, all Saturday, a morning till night, and that's what invented Saturday morning cartoons, which was the origin of that. But they only showed them for, you know, an extended amount of hours. A lot of my older OGs out there, like myself, you know that one of the popular Asian cartoons at the time was Gundam back in the 70s. And in the 80s, especially in the 80s, there was Dragon Ball. You know, Dragon Ball was started at when they were kids, as their origins, her proper origins, back in the 80s. Then we got Dragon Ball Z in the 90s. So the era of those cartoons take place in the 80s. And in the 90s, you know, we got GT. That was future, and that was relevant of the early 2000s. Or if you want to, an anime canon. Okay. An anime canon that I guess you could say GT was before Super. Whatever, I'm here to decline calls. But was early, you know, it took place with the times, how it was then in the early 2000s. But if one wanted to, you could put Super, then GT, because that's how it really fits. To me, GT is canon to the anime. But then, you know, we got Super with the modern technology which we use today that they showed on the show. Then you have the Powerpuff Girls remake. I didn't really care for that. Nickelodeon for a while showed Dragon Ball. But all the, you know, like the shows that, you know, the Cartoon Network hour, the what is it, cartoon show or cartoon with the Fridays stuff. What was it? They showed them on Fridays, and then you had what was it called? It was the Cartoon Hour, I believe it was called. Cartoons. Then you had the Cartoon Hours, I do believe, which were the weekdays, not the weekends. And especially when we had the Saturdays, when they showed the movies that we enjoyed. You know, there's a reason why, even from early Nickelodeon, because Nickelodeon cartoons, they were before Cartoon Network, but they weren't known as they weren't known as Nickelodeon though, you know? At least not for the cartoons. That didn't come till maybe a year or so after Cartoon Network. And a lot of those companies like that, they struggled just like with WB back then as well. And you know, stuff behind the scenes, you know, things behind the scenes that were going on then, not a lot of it good, especially for the companies within terms of, the company itself separated from its employees. Let's say it like that. The company, when it came to the shows, the merchandise, all that, with those views and sales, brought in money. But none of them got to see that money that was brought in. Because this was a new thing still. And not too many of those people got to see that money because it was still new. They didn't know how to pay these folks, And these would be the same people that used to invent some of the trading cards and the Ed and Eddies, the Dragon Balls, you name it. Along with the Dragon Ball Z magazines back in the days. I used to have a whole shitload of them. Real talk. They don't do it no more here in the US, but they still do it over across seas. The voice actors, we may have seen new episodes here and there, or it may seem like new episodes, but really it was hard to get new episodes took off the ground. Again, because of just how much these companies struggled. Everything that glitters isn't gold. By the time we started seeing new episodes, Cartoon Network wanted to be over with. But around their time now, when they were really getting into their prime, was the late 90s and early 2000s, from 2000 to 2005. But even then, they didn't see a penny, because voice actors here in America at the time, voice actors here in America at the time, they struggled for work. They struggled to make ends meet, because voice actors now, no voice actors now here in America, they're now loved. They're getting the pay that they deserve and the time they put in. But a lot of them at the moment then, they didn't. Honestly to God, they didn't. And having to take out money out of their pockets that just was not there to get to one workplace to another, that was hard. And even when they got to their spot for work, they just didn't receive pay. It's not like over here, it's not like over there in Japan, where their voice actors are loved, because Japan, their voice actors are their Hollywood stars. Just like our Hollywood stars are the people that we see on TV. Things out of that nature and that perspective. By the time they started seeing money, it was really when the companies were filing for Chapter 3 bankruptcy. They really were. All because of one woman who was blonde-headed. She worked for Nickelodeon. Whoever made her president and executive, because she really had no experience. She was the main person running things, while she had two other people look like the iconic figureheads, like, yeah, we're doing good. When behind the scenes, they weren't. And that's why a lot of them that you hear about now, the guy who pretty much invented Nickelodeon, he left. He didn't want nothing to do with it. But he may have invented it, but he wasn't running it. This white woman was. The person that helped Cartoon Network left. He may have invented it, but he wasn't running it because of the bullshit. This woman made Nickelodeon go down. That's why all those shows left. That's why Jet X was the last great thing on Nick, but they didn't last because of this woman. It didn't last because of her. Then she went on to WB, ran them into the ground, and what she was doing, she was letting go of people to pay cuts, um, blowing the money that was there up on some shit, you know. And then you had Cartoon Network that went down after. And because of this, keep it real, because of this woman is still there. Like, why is she still kept the owner? Why? Why is she still kept as a president executive on the table? Why? I couldn't tell you guys why. I couldn't tell you. But they switch out executives and the presidents every 5 to 10 years. And the people that were running it, that were really going against her and saying, hey, we don't like what you're doing. What we're doing is more relevant and correct, which it was. But like I said, none of these people who worked there saw money until after the year 2006, when the bankruptcy really went into play. But then a lot of them got paid from that, and now a lot of them have better work, decent jobs, and good money coming in from outside of what they were doing when they were with Cartoon Network. And some of them may still go, and like, you know, honestly to God, what was it? Real talk. Real talk. The people that invented Samurai Jack, they wanted to wait till things got better before they completed Samurai Jack. Because they knew once things got better, they would see better pay, and it would be well received for the time the new series would come out, which it did. The same thing with Toonami. That came back for Adult Swim a couple years ago, along with the Dragon Ball Super English dub. You know, because of the voice actors, they didn't want to go back to that bullshit what they did before. No. But a lot of them said, hey, you know, we're going to come back for Super English dub, because now the time is right, everything is in order, correct, there's pay coming in. But we choose to be shown on Toonami Adult Swim Hour, where the money is. And I give them props for that. Praise them for that. You know, not all these people were in a studio recording their voices. A lot of it's homemade stuff at their homes because they couldn't get to where they needed to be to. But as long as they sent their recorded voice with the scripts back, and it was done on cassette, you know, Tenchi Muyo. Go on online on YouTube, type in things you didn't know about Tenchi Muyo, and the voice actor of Ryoko is narrating that, and she's letting it be known, yeah, there was some bullshit going on. But because that was her only first gig, she enjoyed it, but she found other means outside of that, as being an author, open up her own bookstore, and now, almost at the age of 60, she's getting booked for panels. You know, a lot of these people are going into their mid-50s, into their 60s now, you know, a good majority of them. Some of them are in their mid-40s, are now getting booked for panels and seeing pay. But, she was open to say, hey, I'm willing to come back to Tenchi Muyo if they ever redo it, to revoice the character of Ryoko. So, a lot of those great shows then went through some bullshit, and that's what made them so great. Not just touching on the gore that happened, not just touching on the adult subjects that went, not how dark the theme was, not how adult oriented it was, not how sexually overized these characters were, not because of the right timing with the audience of age. It wasn't because of that. I mean, that has something to do with it playing in, but it's the shit behind the scenes that really made it work. And now, and those people put in the grind for those shows. So now, 25 years later, them shows They're loved. They're off and popping. Sales now for those things. There's a market. It's going through the roof. But Ed, and Eddie? And the conclusion for this, Ed, and Eddie? Ed, and Eddie? What made that show so unique was the weird sounds that we got. Was the weird sounds. Those moments and those sounds, you can't reinvent that. Especially, they didn't know where to put them at, so they were put at random times, and it just worked great. But now you're telling me you want to reboot the series? No, no. Like I said, I'm not. They may look cute. They may look adorable now. They may look cute and adorable as shit, but I ain't in it for cute and adorable. No. And that's why, going back what I said before in the video, is this. Today's generation, they can't handle the dark tone themes. They can't handle the subject matters that are thrown, how sexualized some of these characters are, because they weren't at the age of the timing which I was born in, where we started noticing hormones, boners, women, girls, you know, breast, tits, pussy, you know. Even before being at the age of 15, my generation was surrounded by certain things. And that's why these cartoons hit these subject matters, man, because that's the times that were going on. They even showed the technology that we used then in these cartoons. So going back is why this younger generation, things have to be dumbed down for them, because they can't handle it. You seen the outrage of the It movie when a lot of them went in there. There's a reason why the theaters stopped showing, did not want to show Leatherface 2017, didn't want to show American Satan, didn't want to show Birth of the Dragon, because they couldn't handle it. Today's generation are pussies. They can't handle this shit, man. This is why shit has to be dumbed down for them. They have to be fucking babied. They'll never grow up. Going back, you guys want to talk grown, walk grown, get fucked like you're grown, but when it comes to the grown shit, you can't handle the shit. And this is why you go run yelling out rape charges, why you go running talking to police, why you're out there really snitching, why you have to be babied, and why you have to pop pills, whether Xanax, and try to get turned up because you're afraid of the real reality of the world. These younger generations are fucking pussies. Okay? Real talk. Because of y'all is why a lot of the good shit is now ruined in terms of TV shows, music. Because you all can't handle shit. So you have to be babied. You guys want to yell out gang this and gang that. You guys don't even know what a gang is. You guys don't even fucking fight. You guys don't even meet up with somebody on the block and settle some shit like we did. You guys don't even hang out with your friends. You younger generations, even now, yes, the younger generation now, even the generation that just got out of school and graduated, you don't even fucking hang out with your friends at school, outside of school. You really don't. Your definition of hanging out with them is in school. In school. Or, hey, meet me on Xbox Live. Meet me on PS4 Live, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. That's what y'all hanging out is? Because of y'all is why I blame how shit is. The lost generation is what I call y'all, because there ain't no place for else y'all to go. Y'all made it that way. I know some of us, I know a lot of older heads will say, a lot of the 90s older heads will say, hey, we should be the ones to blame because we didn't teach them. Well, truth of the matter fact is, we had nobody to teach us. We didn't have none of the 80 OGs teach us. We had to learn from their actions. or we had to teach ourselves. And we really did try to teach today's generation, but you all don't want to listen. You guys want to be the term of hard-headed. So that's what I'm saying is this. Reboots are because of y'all. Because you guys think you're grown to handle some shit, and when it comes to it, you guys are not grown to handle shit. You're really not. I'm sorry to say. Actually, I'm not sorry to say. But the truth of the factor is this. You can't handle it, then leave. That's all. But I'm just not for this reboot of shows. Like I said, there's a reason why Ed, Edd n Eddy worked the way it did. There's a reason why. It was because of the unique sounds and what those people had to work with at the time. Or why a lot of these great games that I have played so far, a lot of the Telltale games, which is like Walking Dead, Batman, Until Dawn, and Life is Strange. Those are the content that's focused on is on my generation, which is 30 years old, 35, and almost 40. Because we know how to take that. We grew up on that. We're used to that. We miss that. And a lot of you all younger viewers shit on that kind of games because you guys weren't around then with those dark tones. That's why you guys have to play a lot of the dumbed down shit like Fortnite, because you guys are just a bunch of fucking pussies. And I just don't care for today's younger generation, man. Honestly to God, I don't. This is not my time. It's really not. My time is 80s, 90s, and 2000, 2005. And that's why I made a song, Just Heaven Have a Ghetto. Because in those lyrics of that song that I made and recorded myself with those vocals, with my lyrics, I say this heaven have an 80s ghetto, a 90s ghetto, 2000, 2005's ghetto, where you could choose where you want to be at. The time that makes you feel comfortable at. Because it's time now where I'm at in this generation I don't belong because I don't understand it. And I know how it feels to be lost. I know how it feels to be scared of reality. I used to be a pill popper, man. I used to get high off chemicals. I didn't like shit. Until one day I had to wake the fuck up and grow the fuck up and say, damn, this is what it really is out here. This is life. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to have fun. It is, but not all the time to get away from reality because you're scared of life. But, you know, this is my rant for today, and I'm out.